Next is the smartest man I know. He has read every book that is behind him. He has worked at the White House that I didn't even know up until about a year or two ago. When you listen to this man's voice, his cadence, his tonality resonates like James Earl Jones when he read the Bible. And I have a copy of the James Earl version Bible. Josh Aronovitch has become a very, very dear brother who has been a part of 4 climbs with us. And I agree with what Michael put in the chat here in our Zoom room. He is truth. And he does have one of the biggest hearts that I know and that everyone here in Zoom land knows and everybody in Facebook land that knows Mr. Aronovitch. He has one of the biggest hearts out there. And trust me, when you get the opportunity to tune in and listen to Mr. Aronovitch, you want to get your notepad out or turn on your recording device on your phone, because the nuggets that he is going to drop is going to blow your mind. I competed against this guy in Niagara Falls, and he was in the top 3 of that competition with Elena Rodriguez. The odds were stacked against me. There was no way I was going to win that thing against those 2 powerhouses. I love sharing that because that's where we connected. With that being said, the man with the biggest heart, the man with truth, the man with the wealth of knowledge, and the voice of James Earl Jones. Josh, the summit is yours.
Thank you so much, David. And thank you for creating not necessarily this stage, but this circle, this community. Because this feels less like a speech and more like a conversation. And it's a conversation that's taking place over these 2 days. And I do have to correct one thing, though. I've read about 90% of the books on the 8-foot-tall bookshelf behind me. I have not read them all. I don't want to give that misperception by standing by and not correcting it. Also, when you call me Mr. Aronovitch, I wonder, is my dad about to come on the Zoom? Because that's who I think of as Mr. Aronovitch. I'm just Josh. And in a lot of ways, this talk, this conversation, this moment is a reaction to 2 of the speeches that I've heard over the last 2 days. The one we just heard and cried to by Chris, and the one yesterday by Meredith. And the story and the message at the end of it, and if you haven't seen Meredith's speech from yesterday, I highly recommend heading over to YouTube and checking it out. But it reminded me of a song. And so many of the moments and the talks and the experiences in my life come back to music, come back to songs. And this song, I became familiar with from one of my favorite movies, Moulin Rouge. But it was originally recorded by Nat King Cole. And the line at the end of the song is, "The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return." And people don't really understand love. They think of love as something small, as something intimate, and it can be in a relationship or a romantic relationship. They think of love for family, but love is world-changing. Love is truly the greatest force, the most powerful thing in the entire universe. And it's not always love and light. Love is entwined with our darkness. And our ability to emit light is only limited by our ability to embrace our darkness. Not just accept it, not just tolerate it, but embrace it. See, people talk about how some emotions are higher or better than others, but all emotion is valid. All emotion can be supportive if it's honest and if it's channeled properly. And I truly believe that anger is like fire. Uncontrolled, it can burn down everything. But properly contained and channeled, it emits light, it emits heat, it allows for energy, it makes things possible. Properly channeled anger is one of the biggest forces in service of love. When I think about people that are lost to drugs, when I think about cancer, when I think about the Epstein files and the horrific abuse that children have been subjected to by those with power, I get really fucking angry. And I think that's a good thing. I think when we let ourselves become numb to horrible, tragic, terrible things, we lose a piece of our humanity. We should embrace that anger and use it to fuel change. We should embrace that anger like that spark that ignites the tinder and fuels what needs to be done. One of the things that I live my life based on is the idea that either or is flawed but common thinking. That most of the time we're thinking either or, we're being forced into a false choice. When we're confronted with either or, we're limiting our options in a way that's not appropriate. And so many of the things that seem to contradict each other actually don't. Grief and love are not opposites. They're flip sides of the same coin. Because how can you grieve something that you didn't love? That grieving is a way of honoring the love which never dies, even if the person that we're grieving did. My friend Justin speaks a lot about discipline. Discipline's important, even though it's something I definitely get to work on. But also rest and self-care and slowing down is important. But discipline and slowing down and honoring your needs aren't opposites. They're in creative tension, and they help each other to expand. Because more discipline creates more time, creates more space. Discipline doesn't mean hustle and grind, doesn't mean wear yourself out. Discipline means be as disciplined as getting rest as you are about working. Discipline means giving to each part of your life what it needs so it can be in creative tension. I hate the word balance because balance is a myth. Balance is a lie. Balance does not exist. And balance is used to suggest that things should be equal. They shouldn't be equal. But each part should get what it needs. And in some seasons, you need more of one than the other. In some seasons, you need more discipline. In some seasons, you need more ease. And saying that you have to choose one over the other limits you inappropriately. It's about a dance. It's about a dynamic equilibrium. It's about having all the pieces of your life serving you. And what is it I mean when I say you? You are not your accomplishments. You are not your roles, your titles. You are not what you do. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. So who are you when everything else gets stripped away? If you were marooned on a desert island with no technology, no hope of rescue, and it was just you, who is that you when you've got nothing to numb, nothing to distract? In the yogic tradition, and I fell down this amazing yoga rabbit hole a couple years ago, there's a concept called the Purusha, the soul, that sort of in the sort of depths of your heart, when you sort of tune everything out and withdraw the senses and just focus inward, that pinpoint at the center of everything, the Purusha, the soul, that is you. It doesn't change. It has experiences. It's the loving witness. It goes through your life, but it doesn't get damaged or changed or altered by the world. You are who you are, and that core may be buried, may be forgotten, but it doesn't go away. It doesn't change. And the theme of this is ignite the spark. I believe that that Purusha, that soul, that spark, that everything else, our bodies, our minds, our emotions, everything else sort of swirls around, that spark is a part of the divine. That we have God within us, within that spark, that soul in our hearts. And that when we recognize in another human being something ineffable, beyond words, something powerful, something beautiful, that moment of recognition is when the spark of the divine in us recognizes the spark of the divine in them. And that is where depth of connection, that is where an opportunity to express and experience love with another person begins. But the invitation for this moment in human history, I believe, in the depths of my soul, is to expand who we believe is worthy of our love. Because progress, moral progress in history, is defined by who do we mean when we say we. Is it just my family? Is it just my town? Just my state, Jersey Pride? Is it my country? Is it my religion? Is it people that look like me? Is it people that think like me? Is it people on my side of the political aisle? Is it people in the entire world? Because the broader we consider inside the circle, who we define as us changes everything. Because at the end of the day, every single human life is an entire universe. And every single loss is a tragedy beyond tragedy. So what are we doing at the end of the day in service of that divine spark in each of us to improve the quality and the quantity of people's lives? What are we doing to contribute to research against menaces like cancer? What are we doing to prevent child abuse and neglect? What are we doing to literally change the warp and weave of history to become a society that better takes care of our members? What are we doing to embrace love as the motive force of our action? How different would the world look if our daily actions were motivated by love and not by fear? How different would the world look if our actions were motivated by love and not distrust and not hate? I don't say and not anger, because I think anger is an expression of love. When we get anger at things that are unjust, that is love. It's just love wearing a different cloak. What is the spark that fuels our actions, that fuels our decisions? How much are our daily choices and our daily actions and our daily structures created intentionally to support our deepest desires? Our wishes for our future, for our children's future, for our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren. How is the world going to be different 200 years from now because we lived? That may be the most important question you ever ask yourself. Because so much of what we so focus on in our lives is absolute bullshit. So much of what we focus on and waste our energy on isn't going to matter a day from now, a week from now, let alone 200 years from now. So what would happen if we actually got our heads out of our asses and focused on what matters and put our energy behind worthy goals, bigger goals, things that actually have the power to light our souls on fire? What if we learned how to dream again? Now, that doesn't mean not to have fun. That doesn't mean not to binge a show on Netflix. Because I've seen shows on Netflix that make me think about the world differently. I've seen shows that actually make me interrogate my worldview and deepen my philosophy of life. It's not either or. It's both and. We get to think deep thoughts and be silly and ridiculous. And it's not a contradiction. We get to embrace all the aspects of who we are without shame, without guilt. We are created in God's image. That's a core of my theology and my philosophy. That means that we too have the capacity to create. That means that we are capable of making the world significantly better than it is. There's perhaps nothing more important than that. There is no contradiction between being fully present and mindful, I'm looking at you, James, and thinking about the future. Because the future, when we look at it right, is not a distraction. Because the future is the moment. If time is an illusion, every moment matters. So being fully present in this one does not prevent us from maximizing all the ones that come in the future. I like to say, I am going to fight like hell to never die, and I'm going to live each day like it could be my last. Because those, when done right and with your full heart and your full soul, are not in contradiction at all. So my invitation to you is to dream bigger, think bigger, love bolder, and honor every single life and every single moment as the beautiful universe that it is. Thank you all.
No, no, no. Thank you. Um, I had to do the no, no, no. Thank you. I think that's going to become a new thing, Josh, between you and I, because you always make me smile, and you give the best hugs I think ever. You rile James because only
It's
three.
amazing when James and I hug each other, it's like we're both being lifted off the ground at once.
I know. That's actually where I was going with this because there's only three people in my life that can actually pick me up and give me a bear hug like I typically do, and that's you, James, and Austin. And I was like, that looked weird. Like captivated by your speech, your presentation, bro. I mean, seriously, you and Meredith, I'm gonna add you into this. You two should maybe do a collaboration on doing voiceovers for reading books.
Ooh, that'll be
And
fun.
Deb gave me the idea before we went live, and maybe we'll do this 2 to 3 years down the road. But I want to get a studio into an MBM office where, with Basecamp and future books coming out, that either you or Meredith can do the voiceover for the reading. And after James cheers his butt off and he has the Mickey Mouse voice and the laugh, he can do kids' books.
It's like if Mickey Mouse and Melissa Etheridge had a love child.
Yeah, I agree. Because every time he laughs, he sounds like Mickey Mouse.
Fake laugh hiding real pain.
But brother, absolutely love that. Absolutely love what you brought to the table. Not to the table. I don't know why I keep saying that. Brought to
I
the
mean,
summit.
I'm sitting at a table.
That works. So am I.
My it's my office is basically my former dining room and living room turned into an office, so the table is my desk.
That works.
And the bookshelves behind me block off the kitchen.
That's fantastic, dude. I'm just reading Michael Hummel's comment. If I give you a bear hug, I'm falling on the floor. And I love you, Mike. But not James, but Josh, absolutely love you, bro. Your heart, your power behind your voice, and what I love about you is, I don't think I've ever heard you raise your voice, but there is so much power behind it when you do what you just did here, or when you're on the Movement Maker live stage, or when you're with us on the virtual stage. And when we get back into the live event space down the road, I can't wait to see you do what you do because you always change people's lives, and I love that. So, and what I'm going to do here now is we are going to hand this over to our Zoom room. And I don't know who wants to go first here because Deb already has herself unmuted. James is laughing. So I'm going to leave it between the two of you to decide who wants to go first.
James,
Deb will
thank you
always
so
win.
much. Josh, I adore you in so many ways. Let me count them. Being well read, being well traveled. I adore your spark. We all have divinity within us. I like that we're throwing open the doors, of global inclusion. Nothing against, not throwing shade in any of the buckets of religion. They all have their place. I've studied them all. Well, not all of them, but I did take world religion at Edgewood College, run by the Dominican nuns.
Mhm.
Sister Joan she was on point. That said, I stepped away from subscribing to any organized a long time ago. And I like your vibe. It's just reminding me of the paper I did based on Joseph Campbell, The Masks of God. And the fact that, the concept that we are divine. I don't know if any of you guys saw, because I'm totally dating myself here, but Shirley MacLaine, Out on a Limb. And there's a point in the movie where she's with her guide David, and David, and comes with the name, and they're standing on the beach, and he's telling her, just shout out to the ocean, I am God. And she takes the stand, she goes, oh, David, I can't do that. She does end up shouting out, I am God. And where I'm going with all of this, just to wrap it up, is I adore the don't box yourself in. Don't box yourself in. It's not either or. It's not black or white. It's not this or, we live in this wonderful quantum quirky world. And somewhere in and you do have the most gorgeous speaking voice, somewhere in there, and talking about, how the life is a universe, unto itself, and all of that. And it just made me think of, I don't know if we still have Chris, but Oliver. For, this gorgeous universe, Oliver. So young, but whole and deep and cherished. That's all I got. James, over to you, buddy.
I love how everyone thinks I always have something to say. This is amazing. And I'm not going to lie, Josh, I had something nice to say about you until no, I got to be the guy that ruined the vibe, right? Josh, man, the evolution of you and the subtleties, like you, when I first met you, you were a very predominantly present person, and that's something I appreciate. And you and I always have talked about just showing up and being like, showing up and being, actually, I could just end it there, because we know buzzwords like authenticity, like genuineness, like that people a lot like nowadays use those things as buzzwords. Very few people actually live and embody them. Right. And I love the depth of what you're doing now, because you've been intentionally present for so long. And I don't know if anybody else picked up the subtleties in his conversation today. But when he mentioned that all feelings are valid, that's the next step after presence, is depth. And how far do you explore that? How far do you go into that? It's okay to be angry, and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to do all of these things. We're never taught how to handle these things at times, because they become our mask, they become our crutch, they become our things, right? And what I love about the embodiment of what you're doing is you are living world experience. You are not narrow-minded in just your own. So, which means I know that if I have a debate with you, or if I have a conversation, all of which are healthy, by the way, there is no negativity between us whatsoever. But if there is a disagreement that arises, I know you'll go and research the point that I was trying to make, and I will go and research where you were coming from, and we actually meet and we have an understanding of each other. And even if we don't agree on whatever topic it was, we are still respectful of each other. We are still free to go our own way, and we still choose to be kind and love each other. And that is something that we've embodied and that you embody that changes the world. And I know you've talked about that in virtual earlier. And I know you've talked about that a few times, but to fully live it is something that's really rare. And I love how you bring it with such eloquence and just simplicity. You don't try to make it sound smarter than what it is. You don't try to make it sound like it's bigger than what it is. It's just here. And if any mind can digest it, if any heart can accept it, then great. If not, I still love you. I still care
What's the line
about
from the
you.
Bible? He who has ears, let him hear.
Yes, right. And also, what I love is too is another line in the Bible. It's one of my favorites. Is don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough troubles of its own, right? Today is sufficient for worry. Once we get into the variables, we lose our presence, we lose our realness, we lose our being. And so, Josh,
What's interesting
just
too, though, is when you say don't worry about tomorrow, you're focusing on the tomorrow. I'm
yeah,
focusing on the worry.
right.
Don't worry about tomorrow doesn't mean don't think about or plan for tomorrow.
Correct. And that actually you just stole my sentence, so I appreciate you.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's all right, man. This is what I love about dialogue with you. It flows naturally and we almost finish each other's sentences as much as I don't like that at times. But no, man, I'm really proud of you. I love how you show up. Keep showing up, people need it even if they don't think so. So just congrats, man.